specifically from this point on, as he strikes that golf ball, you can see that his body is staying centered right around that blue pivot point. What's up, Blind Golf Academy members? Again, and welcome back. And today we're going to talk about the number one mistake I see amateurs make. The video we did last week touched on a couple of setup flaws, but this one is going to be about your posture, how that can affect your spine angle, your swing plane, your weight management, club face, all that stuff. And I know you're watching this and you hit the ball all over the place, much like myself, with the occasional one that goes down the middle. But why does it go down the middle? Well, you can hit a ball great from anywhere, but can you hit it more consistently? I'm going to help educate you to see ways in your swing that you possibly can change. And thank you so much for the supporters of this channel. Your membership does help us support the Heal the Hood Foundation in Cape Flat, South Africa, to get kids into golf that can't afford golf. And if you're interested in joining, your donation goes straight to those children. Plus, I also give online lessons. But enough of that hogwash. Let's go find out why you can't hit the ball straight. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at 5 amateur swings. We're going to look at their posture, how they set up, and how this can influence some plane issues, some path issues, club face issues, etc. We're going to limit this to posture. It's going to take a lot of discipline for me to only limit this to posture, but we're going to look at what some cause and effect our poor posture and incorrect posture can cause for you. So let's take a look at the spine angle in our favorite Barney purple, and let's draw that club shaft right up through to the base of that spine angle. Typically, when you have a forward bend like this, your body will compensate by sitting back in your heels. But let's take a look and see how much we're sitting back in our heels. So if we draw from where the arches of your feet are straight up in the sky, we can see that the X doesn't quite match up to where the center of the body would like to be. Now, the secondary issues with this, we can see that club face is definitely toe up. So you can either get fitted for clubs, but I would prefer to change the posture back to where it should be. So this posture should be slightly further back with the legs and slightly taller so we can get that line to go in between each other. And for less confusion, let's draw that again in red so we can see. So you would like that red line to meet where the points meet from each other. We can see that the tendency is the weight to be stuck. So when he picks that club up, it is pretty much up in the air. Now as he strikes the golf ball, what is happening to the center of his weight? So you can see he's losing his posture because the weighting is trying to find that center. So look at the arches of the heels, and they're trying to find the center of your hip joint. So as you strike the golf ball, so now when he starts to turn, his posture has been lost and he's compressing his posture into the golf ball, and we're going to draw his new posture. We'll do it backwards. We're going to draw this in green. There's his new spine angle, and we've lost a lot of this posture, compressing back to the center of his legs. So this is an incorrect posture setup. We can dramatically change his plane and path issues but just by addressing a correct posture. Okay, amateur number 2, let's take a look at his posture and also where it is matching in relation to his X that he formed. So we're going to do all this again in red. We're going to draw where the arches are of the feet up to the sky. So here we have an opposite occurrence, and what this happens now is the weight will be stuck too much in the toes, and he will also try to find the hip to the center. Now, if we take a look at where the hips are in relation to the arches, the hips are fine. However, we can see that the purple cross is nowhere near to the line, so he is definitely on his toes a lot, and this will cause some issues, most specifically a posture loss at impact. So as we take that club back, we can see that he's trying to keep the club on plane. This is a more experienced golfer, and he's able to get that club on plane, but watch what happens at impact. Because so much weighting is stuck on his toes, he's not quite able to get that weight distribution. You can see that right foot slip out underneath him because the weight is stuck towards the front, and he is slipping kind of like on a little banana peel there. And as he strikes it, what is happening to his posture? It is coming on up, and you can see his whole body is moving towards the golf ball at impact because too much of the weighting was stuck on the toes. So this again, he is trying to make this work by using his upper body to compensate for that, but it's just not quite enough. He gets the job done, but there's definitely room for improvement by paying attention to your grip alignment setup. Posture, and posture is one of the biggest ones. Okay, amateur number 3. Now this does look a little bit too bent over for a driver, but let's just take a look at how these lines help each other out. So we can see the spine angle line a little bit too hunched over for what I like to see, and let's go for the center of the feet. Now this is a little bit strange because that right foot is pulled back, but let's just call the center of the arches right here so we can see it's still slightly off of each other, which signifies again that this is going to be a toe-based motion. So it's slightly toe-based, but then we can also look at the amount of bend he he has, which is this line here. So too much bend with a driver, it is very hard to stay in that posture unless your body is designed a la tour pros. But let's take a look. We're going to draw a green line where his back brace line is to see any motions, and we're going to redraw that spine angle in green just to take a look at his starting position and then his impact. So because it's toe based and because it's very tough to stay down on a toe based setup and stay down in that posture, we can see that he wants to rise up naturally to where he should have been. So this is borderline where he should have been at address with the amount of bend that he had. So if he had a taller starting position, it can also help adjust where that crisscross would be in terms of his plane, because it wouldn't be so low. Anytime your setup angle is increased forward, that will also lower your arm plane, and that also lowers your lower plane line. For a driver, it could work, but it could also not work. So this, again, you can see the posture loss because of inefficient setup with your posture at address. This next amateur actually has a pretty good setup, so we're going to draw the spine angle and also the club shaft angle, and we're going to look at where that center point is straight up in the sky. So he gets pretty close to where those two intersect. Now I believe that golf ball position is way too far forward, which is what's causing a little bit of this issue. So if your golf ball, you can see that golf ball is almost off his left heel. So if that golf ball is more centered, it will rock his shoulders back a little bit, which would potentially tighten this up a little bit more. But what I want you to look at is the whole golf swing from the way back to the way through. We're going to see, does he maintain his posture? And he does a pretty good job of maintaining his posture. So now let's narrow it down. We're going to see the range of circles. So look at that circle. Let's see, does that stay centered as he swings the golf ball? Right before we get down to impact, it is still centered. So this golfer does a pretty good job of staying in his posture. And even if we draw a back brace line, we can see if he's able to maintain that posture. So we've seen the amateurs do it, but let's take a look at the pro. I just basically typed in on YouTube, PGA Tour player down the line, and spat out the first video. I made a commitment to myself to only use the first video, so we get Adam Scotland. And we drew the same spine angle line, that purple line, purple Barney's the spine angle line. We got that green line to show the plane line, and also from the arches of your feet straight to the sky. So we can see that they kind of meet in that center point. So to help us out, we're going to draw that center point in a nice yellow circle. And that may be hard to see, so let's redraw that in blue. So we're going to look at the blue circle, and we're going to look at where his body stays relative to that blue circle. So basically that is the center of his setup. Now if you take a look at his backswing all the way through to his downswing, specifically from this point on as he strikes that golf ball, you can see that his body is staying centered right around that blue pivot point. Now if you can accomplish that, that is the key to retaining your spine angle, staying in your main pack position based on your setup. But in order to do that, you have to be very centered. A lot of things do change this. Let's say we had too much bend, and even if your hands were hanging in the same sort of position, you could see what that will do. All of a sudden that pivot point is leaning forward. Now you're toe based, and you're going to have to work around that. You have to pull harder left to get closer to your center point. Let's say you're standing too close. Let's say you're still in that same spine angle, but your legs are down here. The arches of your feet might be too close. Now all of a sudden you take a look, those three lines don't intersect, so your body has to make up for it somehow. Most likely for the amateurs, the arms make up for it, and that's going to change your path, your plane, your club face relationship with staying centered. So posture is all about getting things lined up together, and obviously we all have different arm lengths, leg lengths, torso lengths, flexibility, so you really need to go see somebody who can help you get in that position and make sure you stay in that position through your golf swing. Hope this helps you. Let me know in the comments down below, and if you do like this, hit that like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Fairways and greens.